the best part of Panjim is Campal. I think everybody agrees to that. This was one place that was developed by a viceroy who was here. His name was Campo Manuel de Portugal, a Crasto. And when Panjim started developing, they started moving from old Goa to here. They needed a place to extend and for recreation. Where we are standing right now was pure marshy land. It was disconnected from the main city through a long creek that came from Taligaon up to here. Today we call it as the Santines Creek. Now this gentleman, this viceroy, in his plans, he developed this area by connecting this marshy land to the mainland Panjim with 5 bridges. One is next to Inox, the other one is next to the Santine Junction, opposite Kala Academy. The third one that we can see is at Tonka, but the middle 2 bridges have disappeared. The one near Inox is called as Ponte Minerva. Here it is called as Ponte de Portugal. Now this gentleman, when he was developing this place, in a very futuristic way, he planted these rain trees. Now we are talking about 1829. They have been seeing the development of this city for such a long time. Almost 200 years now. One of my friend, a botanist, agriculturist, Mr. Miguel Bragans, he does a lot of walks around over here. And he gave one suggestion, or he made an opinion, why these are called as the rain trees. He said that in the evening, the leaves fold looking like raindrops. So they are called as the rain trees. But whatever that may be, can you just see how beautiful an area they have created? And when you drive from there, the shade is amazing. They may not last for many more years. It is our duty to see that the replacement to these trees are ready. There are many other different trees. There is a mango tree there. There is a copper pod tree. It is called copper pod because the pods look like copper in color. It has yellow flowers, and when it blooms, the flowers fall down, creating a beautiful yellow carpet all around the tree. So when you are driving over a yellow carpet. There are a lot of other things. This is primarily a residential area, or was a residential area, but now things are changing. But here we can see other aspects that give the charm to Campal, just like the Latin quarters on the other side of the hill, which is Fontainhas. So let us just go around and see what things are over here in Campal under the shades of these beautiful rain trees. When you are traveling from Miramar to Panjim, or from Panjim to Miramar, near Kala Academy, to be more precise, to the southeast corner of Kala Academy, you see this structure. This is called as Meia de Laranja. We would call it a bandstand. But what is the reason why this thing is over here? Much before liberation, the area what we know as the Bandolkar Stadium and the Gymkhana, Panjim Gymkhana, was a very marshy land. But there in the middle was a beautiful gazebo, or a bandstand like structure, which they had to demolish because they were developing this area for the sports. Now it was the INTEC which put a proposal that since they are going to remove that gazebo from there, why not put up something similar on a contemporary style so that people know that there was something here earlier. And that is how this came up into existence. So every time you pass, keep a note of this. When we come to Campal, opposite Kala Academy, you see the military hospital. Now this military hospital was the place where there was the Portuguese jail or the Cadeia. This entire land was very marshy. But in 1960, they put up this structure over here. I'm sure that when you are passing here, you have seen this structure. But I am not sure that you know what this structure is. A little bit of background for you. There was a prince. His name was Prince Henry the Navigator. He was called so because he loved to travel the seas. And he put up a school of navigation called as the Sagres School of Navigation. You will be surprised to know that Vasco da Gama was his student. This was established in the year 1460, and in 1960 it was the 500th year, and it was for that reason that this very unique structure has been erected here. Now you will ask me, what is this structure? It is flat in the front and then it is curved at the back. Now it is in the shape of a sextant. A sextant is a equipment that is used to know the pathway by looking at the stars, and this is used for navigation on the seas. And if you look very closely, it has the Portuguese cross in the front. There must have been a plate which is missing. And on either side, you can see ships and also the stars and the sextant. That is the equipment that they use for navigation. I am sure now you know that this is a monument that was built for Prince Henry the Navigator, of which Vasco da Gama was the student. I am sure next time you pass here in front of Kala Academy, you will turn and you will see this. But now I am going to show something closer for you. In the late 1970s, when I was studying in the Dempe College at Miramar, my city bus would pass Campal area, and I would always see this statue of this gentleman in a standing pose. I didn't know who he was, but when I asked the people, they told me that he was the prince of intellectuals, and his name was Dr. Francisco Luis Gomes. So who was this Francisco Luis Gomes, and what is his statue doing over here? Now, Francisco Luis Gomes was born in the village of Kolmarod in Naveli in Salset Taluka, near Margao. And his father was a physician, so automatically he was put into the Eshkol Medic, the Chirurgic, which we will see later, which was the first and the premier institution for teaching medical sciences. When he joined over there, he passed out in very high marks at the age of 21, and he was honored with the post of being a professor in his own alma mater. But this man had a little bit of social spirit in him. He was a voracious reader, a writer, and he rose to be the chief surgeon of the Goa Medical College. When the time came and the spirit in him did not allow him to sit quiet, like many times we see a lot of agitations happening now, he thought of changing the spirit and the ethos of the society around, which had too much of a Western, European, Portuguese influence. He loved Goa, and he wanted the people from Goa to rule this land by themselves. So what he decided was, he joined politics. He stood for elections in Margao constituency for the Portuguese Parliament, and true to his decision, he won. He won, and he continued being a MP, a member of Parliament of the Portuguese Parliament, for 3 long terms till he died. Now, he was born in 1829, and he died at a young age of 40 years in 1869. So when he was in Portugal and he knew that his end was coming close, he expressed his wish that he would like to come to Goa. So he boarded a ship called as SS Messalia, and this was on 25th of September 1869. Hardly they had gone out into the Atlantic for 5 days of sailing, Francisco Luis Gomes died, and his wish of coming to Goa remained unfulfilled because his body was interred in the sea. As is the tradition, when somebody died on the ship, they would not carry the body along, but they would inter it into the sea. I look at it very positively. This prince of intellectuals, an economist, a very liberal thinker, a writer, a philosopher, an economist, left a message in his death that he does not belong to one land of Goa, though he was proud to be the son of this land. This can be seen by a letter that he has written to his friend Lamartine, a French writer, Lamartine, where he said very proudly that he is proud to come from the land which wrote the epic Mahabharata and which invented the game of chess. He wrote a book called Os Brahmanish, the Brahmins, and this book was about the Brahmins and untouchability issues that were going around over there. The festivities in Kanpur, Kanpur where the 1857 revolt took place, Mangal Pandey. He wrote about that and it became an epic. But he was very, very proud of his land. And like I said, when he was interred in the Atlantic Ocean, or one of the biggest oceans, he proved that he did not belong to one small place called as Goa, but he belonged to the world. This man standing up here, I can say through My Goa that he was one of the true sons of this land, My Goa. The people of this land realized the importance of this man a long time ago. And on his 100th anniversary, that is in 1929, he was born in 1829. In 1929, they erected this statue over here as a salute to this great man and a great Goan. So every time you pass here, please give him the respect that he gave to this land of Goa. Garden of dedicated to Dr. Francisco Luis Gomes, we can also see behind that there is a nice structure that has come up with beams on top, and it has got those lutes or musical instruments on the side. Now, this tells us about one aspect of the Portuguese. They loved music and entertainment. Their etiquettes were good, but they loved and promoted music. And at different places, like we have seen the gazebo at Campal beginning, we are now seeing this one over here, where every evening a band, the police band, would come and play over here, while the people from Panjim, the Portuguese Panjim, would come here and go for a walk. Such a beautiful ambience it must have been. No traffic, just people walking around the place and light classical music being played over here. I mean light classical Western music being played over here. You can see such type of structures all over Panjim. And one of the signature pieces of architecture that we find at different places are the pergolas. We see one at Dona hilltop, we see one at Miramar beach, we see one at Campal, and another bandstand is there in Garcia de Horta, or the Panjim Municipal Garden near the church of Panjim. So they were people who loved music too. Campal, you also see this cannon which I am sitting on. Many of you may never have asked this question, but the question is, from where did this cannon come over here? This cannon was actually lying on the fort of Banastari. Banastari fort is where the old bridge touched the Banastari side, and today where the market takes place. A few of the remnant, the staircases, a few other parts you can still see over there. In 1512, Alphonse de Albuquerque realized the importance and the danger of that fort on the other side. And in 1512, he attacked that fort and took over that fort. At that particular time, the Adil Shah commander Fulad Khan was looking after that. Now you can read all this in the Fort and Fortresses, a book written by Dr. P.P. Shirodkar. Amazing book. And there, the Portuguese called this fort, where this cannon was there, as Santiago Fort. So if you come across any mention that a Santiago Fort, it is Banastari Fort. Now, this particular cannon was brought from Banastari and kept in Old Goa. But there was one traveler who had come over here. He wrote that in the 1800s, from the ruins of the bulwarks on top, this cannon was still in a position to fire. That means it was only in 1800 later that it was brought into Old Goa. And then when Panjim started developing, they brought it here and placed it over here. What is so important about this cannon? This is the only of its type and the oldest in India, because this particular cannon is not made by casting the raw iron. This is made by welding plates, plate over plate over plate, and you find that behind it is flat. From front you will be able to see the rings of the plates that have been used. And a cannon, when it was taken over by the Portuguese, they put their own marking over here. It says Maria over here, and there are different markings including the royal marking of the Portuguese. In this type of cannons, they would first put the ammunition from front, pack it up, and before they packed it up, what they would do was, there is a hole over here, see this hole over here, they would put the wick over here, and then they would roll the cannon, which was either made of metal or of granite, and then they would light this and the pressure would fire it out. This was enough to create a damage to the hull of the ship or any building. You can see these rings over here, very heavy. Now these were used to move the cannon. The fact that it has got these rounds over here, it shows that it was mounted either on wheels or on something the way it has been mounted here today. But ladies and gentlemen, when I talk of My Goa and the program My Goa, we talk about saving our heritage, taking care of our heritage, preserving our heritage, protecting our heritage. But what I am going to show you now is something that is very shameful. I seek your help. My Goa or My Goem seeks your help to please preserve and protect this type of things. Today, sadly, this cannon is being used like a dustbin. I don't know whether they will fire that garbage which is thrown inside into the Indian Ocean and the Arabian Sea, but it is a very sad state of affairs. If we go to any other place, they take care of their heritage. They are proud of their heritage. We should not allow these things to happen in this beautiful land of ours called as My Goem. This is the cannon of Banastari, the oldest in India, the only of its type in Goa. We should take care of it. We should tell our younger generation what this heritage object is all about. Please, it is a plea from my team as well as from Prudent to please take care of these heritage objects which are lying all over Goa. So let us see now the plans to shoot the garbage into the Arabian Sea. You can see me relaxing. It's been a hot day My team also is very tired. And I am using those facilities which were planned in 1829 to relax. Now, as I am sitting down here, behind me, you can see a beautiful garden. This particular garden was actually just a stretch of sand, but as time went by and the residue started collecting, the land went on becoming bigger and bigger. And what the government decided to do here was to construct a children's park. It is called as the Bhagwan Mahavir Children's Park, maintained by the Forest Department. They have a lovely park over here where they even sell a nursery where they sell different plants. You can always come over here. But one thing I must mention to you, look very closely to my left up there and you see a big white lighthouse. But in front there are tall trees, there is a huge tract of land. So what is this lighthouse doing over here? So this proves to us that what was river Mandavi earlier, where we see the border wall over there behind, the river was up to here, and as time passed by, the silt that collected went on extending, and then they had to put this lighthouse out of use, and they constructed 2-3 others next to Kala Academy, next to the Marriott Hotel, on the other side of this place in Campal, that is at Verem, and one at Balim, so that they could channelize the ships to come in. We have come to the end of this episode, and I am sure that there will be certain aspects of this which you are not aware of. If you feel that there is something that we have missed out, please write to us on the email that you see over here and the WhatsApp number. We would love to hear from you. This is your Goa and this is My Goem. That is the name of the program to see on Prudent Media. Please let us know your feedback so that we can get it in a much better and a flowery way to you. So till the next episode, bye-bye from My Goem.